scream against the stream, our eyes watering. Jumping too late, the surface breaks, we swim underwater.
To preserve and promote culture online.
To study and be inspired by science.
I'm currently combining medical research and computer science to improve breast cancer diagnostics.
That next generation of smart, powerful women, they're already knocking on the door.
Hey, station, this is Google Plus. How do you hear me?
Soichi, hear you loud and clear, homie.
We try to push these challenging technologies to transform the world and change people's lives.
Now we're in uncharted waters, and what I'm talking about has never really been done before. But that's why we should do it.
Lo primero que queremos lograrlos es inspirarlos. Tenía recién un desayuno con los speakers que van a estar hoy aquí arriba. Yo he tenido la suerte de presenciar sus presentaciones antes y pocas veces me ha pasado que en un evento, después de la presentación, la gente venía y me decía gracias. Gracias ¿por qué? Gracias por traernos speakers de esta calidad, gracias por hacernos pensar y provocarnos. Y eso es lo que queremos lograr hoy y ojalá tengamos éxito. Y por último quiero decirle gracias a ustedes, porque el trabajo que se está haciendo en México y que se ha hecho en México en todo el espacio de marcas ha sido muy innovador y muy efectivo. Y nuestro desafío es llevar esto un pasito más allá, es liderar en estos cambios que se están dando hoy. Miremos brevemente la agenda y les voy a hablar un segundo de cada una de las presentaciones. La primera es John Militello, a quien ahora voy a presentar, donde vamos a hablar de creatividad, ¿sí? Y qué es lo que está cambiando hoy en creatividad. Y va a ser una sesión muy divertida. Después vamos a tener a Sasha Strauss, de quien soy un gran admirador, y él nos va a hablar de cómo hay que cambiar la comunicación de marcas hoy, ¿sí? Luego vamos a tener a Gonzalo Barbieri, compatriota, quien va a hablar en particular sobre qué es lo que está pasando hoy con las marcas, qué es lo que está pasando hoy con la comunicación de las marcas en función del media mix, cómo hay que usar ventaja de Internet y los nuevos dispositivos para comunicar de la forma más eficiente y planificar los medios de la forma más eficiente. Y finalmente vamos a tener a Peter Fernández, que él nos va a hablar de lo que está pasando hoy de vuelta, obviamente en el espacio de branding, en cómo si soy creativo, voy a duplicar mi audiencia, cuáles son los desafíos que tengo que lograr hoy para tener resultados medibles. Thank you for coming first. John es nuestro director de ZOO. ZOO es nuestra agencia interna de creatividad en Google y él es además profesor de artes visuales en la Universidad de Nueva York. John, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Luno. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. So, welcome everybody. My slides aren't up. So, before I begin, I want us all to get to know each other. So, in your bags, you are all received a red foam ball, and it looks like this. So do you guys all have that? Pull it out of your bags. And what I want you to do is put your noses on. Okay? I promise this won't hurt. It'll be a lot of fun. And what I want you to do once you have your nose on, turn to the person to the right and introduce yourself, just quickly, and then to the left. All right? Okay. I'm John. So do you guys notice anything different in the room? What are you noticing? I can see something. Do you notice something about yourself or the person next to you? See, I see you guys all smiling instantly. And if you're smiling, it's going to make this guy, Tex Allen, who's a good friend of mine, really happy because he's the guy behind the red nose. He is dedicated every day of his life to wearing a red nose just to make people smile, right? And at Google and on my team, we use it as an icebreaker. So I've just broken the ice with you guys, right? So to kind of get to know each other. And the reason we do icebreakers and stuff like this is because we have large groups of people that we have to work together with to solve big problems. So we do something at the zoo called the Zoo School, and I'll explain more about what the zoo is in a minute. And we get people to put on their red noses, and it automatically levels the playing field and gets ego out of the way. And then we tell this story of how we got our name. So we share a little bit about each other, and it's proven in the neural pathways when you relieve or tell something about yourself and make yourself a little vulnerable, right? People are more willing to connect with you. So it's a sticky leave behind, so people can instantly start hitting the ground running and collaborate without ego. So I want to begin with the story of my first name. So I'm going to put my nose on. This is going to be uncomfortable for me with you guys on your nose. And if you want to show support, you can put your nose back on for this little bit. So my name is John Michael. There's no middle name. It's just one name, John Michael. My last name is Militello. I've gone most of my life using Michael as my middle name. But the reason for it is because my mother is actually from Mexico City. So it's actually humbling for me to be here today on this stage. It really is amazing for me, and I'm grateful. I got to see my cousins the other night. They all call me Juan Miguel. So my mom calls me Juan Miguel. So you can call me Juan Miguel since we're in Mexico. Now I have a confession to make. My Spanish is terrible, and I'm working on it, and I promise I'll get better. But the reason they named me Juan Miguel is my mom came to the U.S. with my father. My father's from Detroit, and she didn't speak a lick of English for the first year. She learned a lot of her English off of the soap operas. And when I was born, she wanted to name me Juan Miguel. And my parents, since we were going to live in the States, decided to name me John Michael. But I still go by Juan Miguel. And I've been drawing and painting forever. This is a drawing I did. I recently went to my parents' house and I found this. This is a drawing I did when I was 4 years old. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I was really into it. I started oil painting when I was in the first grade because my mother got me into it. But this is my daughter Gabby at 4 years old, a little drawing she did. And I got to thinking, maybe I'm not so special, right? Maybe either she's got all my talent or I'm just an average 4-year-old kid, which is probably the case, right? But I kept at it, and I kept creating, and I kept painting because I had passion for visual arts and creativity. So I started oil painting in the first grade, and by the time I was in the 6th grade, in the small town in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan where I grew up, I had an art show, right? And the humbling part about this is I actually had to deliver that newspaper on Tuesday, on a cold Tuesday, January night in the Upper Peninsula in the snow. And that's what really brought me to Google, though, that creativity and that love for creativity. Google is one of the most innovative, creative companies in the world. And you wouldn't normally think of them for visual arts necessarily, at least when I joined 7 years ago. But I was lucky enough to join a team called the Zoo. And the Zoo is all about creativity. In fact, I kind of think of us as the big idea team. And I'll get and tell you more about that in a little bit. So why the name the Zoo? Does anybody know the first video ever uploaded to YouTube? It was called Me at the Zoo, and it was a proof of concept video to get uploaded to YouTube. And when we were trying to figure out our name a few years ago on the Zoo, we were trying to figure out, what can we do? Because most names at Google are acronyms, meaning they're mixed up words, the first letter, to mean something else. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to truly brand ourselves internally. And we did some research. This was the first video posted to YouTube called Me at the Zoo, and you see the elephant, and you'll see the elephant in our logo. So here's the video.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have really, really, really long fronts, and that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.
That one little video started a revolution across the internet of uploading videos. It's amazing. So that's where we got our start. And what is the Zoo? What do we do? So now you know why. So the Zoo is here actually for you, for agencies, creative and media, and clients. We're here to show you, to help guide you in this digital age, to use our platforms, to use our tools, to use our technology, and to lend our creative support. I run a creative team inside of the Zoo, dedicated to helping you guys. And what we do is we have an insights team, right? So our ideas are formed from sound research and strategy, and we help guide you with that because we know that's what you need. You know, we have a ZooX creative technology team internally, right? And we're there to kind of push the boundaries on creativity and creative technology because, you know, we want you to push the brands and scare your brands because we know what the audience will embrace. And unrestrained technology. This stuff is happening on every single mobile device, right? It's not just for one device anymore. And this digital revolution is happening so fast. I like to joke that at Google, 1 quarter is like a year anywhere else because we're at the epicenter of change. And it's so dynamic and so fast. And things are changing so amazingly fast that it makes life kind of difficult sometimes for all of us in the creative space. Because everything is absolutely amazing, but nobody seems to be happy anymore. As witnessed by this clip by Louis C.K.
On an airplane, and there was internet, high-speed internet on the airplane. That's the newest thing that I know exists. And I'm sitting on the plane, and they go, open up your laptop, you can go on the internet. And it's fast, and I'm watching YouTube clips. I'm in an airplane. And then it breaks down, and they apologize, the internet's not working. The guy next to me goes, this is bull. Like how quickly the world owes him something he knew existed only 10 seconds ago.
Right.
And on planes...
So that's our reality today. Nobody's happy. I mean, that's what it's like when you go to a client meeting sometimes, right? That's what it's like with your users and with my kids. If they're watching YouTube and that buffer thing comes on, they're like, Daddy, fix the internet, as if I can fix it for them, right? But the instant gratification is king today. And I would dare say that traditional advertising alone no longer works. It's not to say traditional advertising is bad, because it's not. All channels are important these days. But you can no longer just rely on one traditional channel to get the message across. Because traditionally, this is what it's like if you're at an agency or at a client, right? You get a choice of 3 ideas. Pick one. And when you pick one, you get a matching set of luggage, let's say. And it's TV, print, radio, and yeah, there's digital, and maybe there's paid or unknown, and okay, whatever. Well, you know, I at Google, I'm lucky enough to sit at a table with a lot of marketers, and we were asked to do a Shark Tank review, so I got to play like a Simon Cowell-type judge. And there was a week where these guys from one of these companies, they all came in and worked in groups, and they presented their ideas back to us like in a Shark Tank. And one of the groups presented this beautiful narrative of a user journey of how to launch this product. It was a product for millennials. And they told the story through text messaging, right, through 2 teenagers. And I was like, oh, this is fabulous. What a great narrative. What a great way to do this. And then at the very end, when they revealed, because they had to, it was a business part of it as well, is the media plan and the spend allocation, and the flighting of the media. 43% TV. 15% digital. And I said to the guys, I said, you told me this beautiful story. Obviously, your target's online. Obviously, they're on mobile. But you're thinking, when it comes to money, you're not connecting the two. So I thought that was really interesting. So this is what happens to us. And we need to start thinking that, you know, integration is not integration, it's orchestration. And the way to get there is you need to lead with digital. Because everything will be digital in the future. It's liquid. You know, you hear that term, content is liquid. Well, all digital is liquid. So for me, I teach a class at the School of Visual Arts, and for the syllabus, I came up with this statement to kind of prep our students of what it means to talk about the digital age. So advertising is about combining the power of creativity. So creativity is still king with the connectivity of social and the magic of technology, right? Combining those powers is what we have to do. We are the new alchemists, right? It takes a lot of energy to get this done right, but we can do it. And, you know, speaking of my students, I want to share this video. I get to do portfolio reviews. So one of my students during portfolio reviews, I saw this video and I was blown away. And I went to our teams and was like, this is exactly what we should be doing. This is the new Don Draper storyboard, not a PowerPoint deck or a keynote deck, but a video like this. And this is what we should be doing. So I've asked my team to do more of these in the last year, and they have. These are proof of concept user journey. But remember, this was a student. And I showed this to the global brand manager of Lipton last week, and he loved it.
Do you know why Lipton tea bags have that little tag at the end of its string? It's so you and your friends can put your picture on it. See, the problem is, Most tea bags are old and boring, but Lipton can make them young and fun again with the addition of a simple but exciting feature to Lipton's website, the Lipton Photo Booth. Just click on it, select how many friends are with you, and take a picture to fit a pose. Every time you take a picture, another fun pose is generated. After your photo session is over, you can download the shots to your computer and share them on social media. But here's the best part. You can order custom packages of Lipton tea in any flavor with your favorite pictures on all the tags. They make great gifts for friends and family, and they're a surprisingly delicious way to remember fun times. We'll encourage people to visit Lipton.com and enjoy our new photo booth using everything from print ads to web banners. We'll even have an interactive outdoor digital campaign for people to enjoy. And remember, only Lipton can offer this, because only Lipton has tags on their bags.
Pretty cool little video user journey, right? That tells the whole story of the user journey, and that's why I say if they can, you can. And what they did here is they put the user first. They focused on the user. And if you think about it, that's what Google search was all about relevance, putting the user first, not being disruptive. I think it's different than television where you have to be disruptive to cut through the clutter. But today, with digital, you really have to be relevant and think about that user and that user journey first and foremost. And those kids did that in that video. Because today, we have global scale. You're always on everywhere. Your brand cannot no longer be contained in a box. No longer shiny little box of your agency and you craft, because it's out there in the world and it's always on and it's everywhere. And it's not just TV, it's multiple devices, so it's everywhere and anywhere. And universal authorship. That means parodies, riffs. People want to own it. If you look at Volvo trucks, there's tons of Jean-Claude Van Damme parodies out there on the web. People embrace your content. They feel they have the right to interact with you and it. So what's the big idea? I told you we were the big idea group, right? Everybody keeps asking us for the big idea all the time. And the typical big idea request from you guys, from internally, it's kind of like this. I want a big idea, a never been done before, and I want to use all of Google's technologies, and I want it now, please. That's what it is all the time. And it's really tough, and it's daunting because we're lost at sea. But creatives love challenges, as you creatives in the room know. But, you know, there's something missing with that request. So one of my favorite professors in college, I went to the College for Creative Studies in Detroit, used to ask us this. He was the chair of design. And he said, what's the worst assignment you can give a designer? Anybody out there even have a clue? What do you think? It's a blank piece of paper. And a lot of non-creatives will say, hey, I gave you a blank canvas, go wild. Well, we don't want a blank canvas all the time. A lot of times, we need context. We need to know why. You know, we need to know we need a point of reference. I mean, the definition of hell in Greek, of being in hell, is not knowing up, down, right side, or where you are in the universe. We need to know where we are. Everybody in the world needs context. Now, it doesn't mean you have to draw with inside of the lines and draw with inside of the box. But you need to know the rules before you can break those rules. That's what Picasso did really well as an art reference. But is it a good idea to put a car on the Empire State Building? It's certainly a great big idea, but it is a good idea. Well, it might be, and that depends on how you look at it. It certainly is a cool execution or a big execution. And for Ford Motor Company, who did it 50 years ago to introduce the first Mustang, to introduce the 2015 Mustang, to do that all over again, was a good idea for them.
Down there on the street is where cars are supposed to be, not up here. 86 floors above New York City atop the Empire State Building. The out-of-place 2015 Ford Mustang had tourists wondering.
First thing was, how in the name of God did they get it up here?
Maybe by a helicopter or something. I thought it would have been up with a helicopter.
It basically rode the elevators just like you and I did.
Not just like you or I. We wouldn't have to get chopped up into pieces. The Mustang was cut up into 5 pieces, small enough to fit in the smallest Empire State Building elevator.
We only have an elevator that's 36 inches wide.
They actually built a mock elevator back at the Ford shop to make sure everything would fit. This wasn't the first time a Ford Mustang rode these elevators. Back in 1965, the then newly introduced Mustang made the same trip and was photographed on the observatory. This latest elevation of the Mustang was meant to celebrate its 50th anniversary. The weather, though, didn't cooperate.
Right, so they did it 50 years ago, so they did it again. They thought, oh, it's a good idea. It's certainly big. I wonder if it's a great idea and how it really touched people other than a big PR stunt. Now, the reason it was a big idea, I think, 50 years ago is I did a little bit of research. Car companies, for some reason, and I don't know why, love putting their cars on the top of mountains or places that are otherwise not accessible by car. So I found that Chevy did it. A lot of brands did it back in the day in the 60s. So what's the big idea? You know, I kind of was joking when I said we're the big idea group, right? It was a little bit tongue-in-cheek because I don't really like that request of the big idea. I want to think about what is the great idea, right? Let's kind of get rid of the hyperbole a little bit because the big idea is technology or a shiny object often doesn't hold the test of time. Because for me, it's not about the big idea. It's not about the bright, shiny object. It's about greatness. That's why Nike's campaign wasn't find your bigness. It was find your greatness. So if you have a great idea, big will follow. So what goes into a great idea? Where do you think the starting point to a great idea is? Well, I kind of gave you a clue before. It's really a great brief. Because if you don't have a great brief, how do you have a great idea? And those of you who don't get great briefs, rewrite your briefs, bring them back to your brand, and say, is this what you really want me to do? Is this what you want me to do? And they'll hopefully say yes. Or if you're a brand, write great briefs and you'll get better creative. So what is a great idea? So we love this idea of distillation on my team. Like, how do you boil things down to their simplest elements? So to get an objective view, to kind of measure this with inside of my creative team, I've boiled it down to this. Ask yourself, is it based on something insightful? Does it meet the client's objectives? Because no matter how cool it is, if it doesn't meet the client's objective, it's not going to work. And does it connect with the user's hearts and minds? Meaning, is it relevant to your audience? Okay? And what I like to do is I've kind of reverse engineered this. So you'll see me going through examples that inspire me. These are examples that inspire me that I wanted to share with you, and some of them you may have seen. But what I'm going to do is I want to go down and break these down, because I didn't get the brief. I wasn't part of the briefing. I wasn't part of the creative on this. So what I love to do is reverse engineer things. And what I've asked my team to do, and I think you guys should do too, is take an idea and take somebody who's not privy to the brief and take your idea and say, hey guys, what do you think was the insight here? What do you think was the objective for the clients? And tell them the target audience and say, do you think this connects with them in some way, shape, or form? And if you at least have that, you have the basis of starting to get to something great. And I want to show you some ads that go beyond. Now, this Nivea ad you've probably seen, but I want to show it to you again because I think it's an amazing way to take old media and new media and do something completely novel and new. I love that little ending with the juxtaposition of the little baby and the fat guy walking across the beach. I think that's really funny. But that's a very powerful piece of content and a very powerful ad, right? And what were they doing here? And if you reverse engineer it, what's happening here? The insight. Kids need protection from more than the sun. It's not data, it's just a human gut instinct, right? And what did the brand want to do? What was their objective? I would say, from deconstructing it, is to get parents to understand Nivea as a protection leader. Super simple, right? They want to own protection in a way nobody else can. So they thought of this clever way to create a bracelet through print and create an app, and a useful app that somebody would actually use, because they wanted to provide relevance. They wanted to win over hearts and minds of parents. And as a parent myself, giving me peace of mind at the beach where I could have a little bit of anxiety and I really want to relax, because I found, now that I have kids, going to the beach used to be fun. Now I'm worried about my kids, where they're going to run off to into the water, and I'm not having as much fun. And with this product, I would. So it provides something of value, something relevant to the user, and it's going to win over my heart and my mind. Another trend we've been seeing is this idea, is it an ad or a product or an ad? What is it? Right? We've seen this with Nike, and we've seen this with other things. This is the Nismo watch. I'm going to play this video for you because it explains how this product works and about how they talk about innovation for Nissan to launch a product, a car brand with inside of Nissan. So Nissan, everybody knows Nissan. They want to own innovation that excites. But they're launching an AMG, like Mercedes has AMG and BMW has M-Series. They're launching Nismo high-performance brand. And this is what they're doing to launch it.
To earn the respect of the most demanding audience in the world, with always-on access to speed and performance, and draw their attention to Nismo, Nissan's performance car line, we needed to go beyond advertising and truly unleash performance on track, on street, and on screen, in tune with the Nismo brand promise. That's why we created and launched the Nismo watch, the world's first smartwatch concept to connect the drivers to their cars, to their driving, and to the road, as well as giving them insight to their bodies and even their social performance. The Nismo watch is always tracking, always improving its owner and impressing the onlookers. It comes in Nismo brand colors and is packaged fittingly in race tire rubber. The concept launch on YouTube and in the Frankfurt Motor Show gained massive attention and engagement from media, influencers, and the audience, lifting the volume of conversation around the Nismo brand to unprecedented heights all over the world. All the while, the media praised the Nismo watch as a new standard in smartwatch design. Already a success, the Nismo watch is just entering production and is due to launch this year. So stay tuned to unleash your performance.
Right, so what they want to do here is own innovation. Right, so the Nismo watch, and what Nissan was trying to do here is based on something insightful. People want to own innovation. They don't want to just hear about it or see about it or read about it or hear a commercial about it. And the brand wanted to own that space of innovation. And how it was useful and relevant to the user is the connecting the car to the driver. Even if you can't afford a Nismo level product from Nissan, you could still be a Nismo enthusiast through the watch. You could still wear the watch and be part of the brand and aspire to it and understand Nissan's innovation. And we're starting to see more of this. I think the bar is being raised higher and higher these days. The next execution I'm going to show you, you've seen, but I want to show it to you again, and I want to show you how it's made because it's pretty incredible. I saw a video with John Haggerty and David Droga talking about how they thought the creativity is dead. There's not enough creativity, and they're expecting more. And I would submit to you guys that creativity is alive and well. There's just not a lot of the high-level creatives yet fully embracing digital. There's not a lot of clients fully embracing what it really, really takes to go above and beyond. I'm old enough to remember how many people it took to create one simple print ad or one TV commercial. Because early in my career, we did stuff by hand. We had photographers retouching. We had to then set the type. We had to write the copy, art directions, sell it into the client, send it to an engraver and a custom letterer. Now, one person can probably do all of that. So this is an ad that I think marries old world stuff, and once this digital, the billboard becomes digital, they thought of new ways to do it. So remember when I said talking about alchemy and combining digital and creating magic, that created magic for me. When I saw that as a creative, I don't know about you, but for me, I was like, shit, I should have thought of that. I wish I would have thought of that. That is so simple. How could the answer be that easy? It's a really easy answer, but how do you sell that in? Because all the doubts come into your head as a creative and as a marketer. How do we sell this to the client? Are they going to build it? How much is it going to cost? And I could see the brainstorm happening, right? So somebody actually shepherded this idea through and didn't let it die. Because you know good ideas can die through the eyes and vision of reality, when reality sets in, but keep moving forward. And I wanted to know how this magic and this piece of magic was made. So I want to show you the video that kind of tells you all the stuff that goes into the behind the scenes of making this. And at first you'd think, wow, this is really arduous. Who would do this in this day where you could push a button, create a PDF, and create an ad unit, create, one kid could create, multiple ad units for you on the web. Well, today, we really need to really come together as a community and join with creative technologists, thinkers, and creatives and do something new and push creativity to its limits using technologies just like we used to in the old days. We used every single tool to its maximum capacity, and we're not doing it anymore. I feel like, in a lot of ways, we've become lazy. To me, this should be table stakes.
What the public saw as magic was actually a carefully orchestrated feat of technology. We mounted an ADS-B antenna on the roof of a nearby building to read live data directly from each aircraft's transponder within 200 kilometers. All aircraft emit radio waves containing their speed, altitude, GPS location, and a call sign. Our antenna was connected to a PC with a custom-built application, which identified the British Airways planes and sent the data to our cloud server that controlled the billboards. We created a virtual trigger zone in the sky that acted like a tripwire, so that when a BA plane entered our trigger zone, within 0.2 seconds we'd cross-reference the registration number with flight data from Heathrow to determine the destination. Cloud altitude data told us if the plane could be seen, and if it could, the information was sent to our billboard, interrupting the current content and playing our ad. We targeted a moment. The moment a plane flies overhead, inspiring our audience to share what they saw and igniting their passion to explore the world.
So the simpler the idea, the harder it is on the back end, right? Wouldn't you say? But I love this. I'm a geek at heart, so geeking out and doing these kinds of challenges would be the exact fun thing I would want to spend my day, my life doing, trying to figure that out. That's cool to me. And another thing is they talk about finding a moment. We talk at Google, and I hear brands, I was just on that Shark Tank, moments that matter, and they went through these user journeys. And what they said here is a moment. One of the things I know that a lot of agencies and creative and brands do is they try to target every single moment throughout a person's day. Maybe that's too much. Maybe you're spreading yourself too thin. Maybe you should find that moment that really, 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 really matters, right? So it matters when they're searching. That's obvious. It matters when it's a relevant ad coming next to them and they're online. But when they're in the sky, they're outside, and they look up at a plane, that's a moment that matters. And they targeted that moment like nobody else can because that was a white space. Nobody else was doing that. And so what did they do? Let's reverse engineer this really simply. Insight. People love magic. You don't need a lot of big data to tell you that. That's just a human insight. People love magic. They love to go to magic shows. The objective, getting people to look at their website. Super simple. Just like, let's talk regular speak instead of this marketing speak. I get a lot of briefs come across my desk, and I spend hours trying to deconstruct them and boil them down to real human language. And relevant. Where does BA go? That's all. Like, when I'm out in the world and I see a plane go by, I look up. I'm a kind of guy that will always look up and see that plane and wonder, who's on that plane? Where did it come from? Where's it going? They told me that in a beautiful, elegant way in real time. So the ads I showed you all address the brief, right? I would say they all have an insight that makes sense. They all meet the client's objective. And they're all relevant to the target user. Okay, that's good. That's fine. But really, what makes them great? And what makes them great to me is this notion that they're fresh, they're innovative, they're imaginative, they're entertaining, surprising, simple. And they're all executed flawlessly with digital. But you don't know it. You don't really realize it. It's just executed. It feels like air. It feels like the way it should be. And I really implore you guys to think about this idea of innovation and imaginative in that thinking, because that's what makes good to great and great to big and long-lasting. And speaking of that, I want to show you and share with you an execution that the Google marketing team, we didn't do this, but Google marketing team did this. They found a good idea, and they made it great. They took somebody's idea of a night walk in Marseille, and they put the full power of Google Street View and other APIs behind it, and made a beautiful piece of content.
This is Julie Demour. Julie wanted to share the story of her dynamic and sometimes misunderstood city of Marseille. So she created audio walks using Google Maps. Inspired by her project, we set out to tell Julie's story in an innovative way, with a 90-second film and by bringing to life one of Julie's favorite sound walks. Night Walk in Marseille is the first ever nighttime street view. Hundreds of high-definition photospheres allow users to take a tour around the streets and back alleys of Cours-Jourdien. Users immerse in the natural acoustics of the neighborhood, using binaural sound technology that reacts to their movements. 3 kilometers of spheres document sights and genuine moments around the neighborhood, transporting users to another place, and sometimes even another time. Discoveries are made richer with facts powered by Google Knowledge Panels. Embedded YouTube films introduce the neighborhood's street artists, musicians, and locals.
Voilà.
Nightwalk is optimized as a mobile-first experience. Using gyroscope technology, users can look around simply by moving their phone or tablet. The mobile site utilizes Google Places API to recommend similar places near them. Nightwalk was immediately globally embraced, became a trending topic on Twitter within days, and generated 88 million PR impressions to date. And in the end, we demonstrated that with Google products, you can discover another side of Marseille, or any other place in the world.
So I think that's amazing. It's beautiful, it's relevant to the user, right? It's digital and mobile first. So I love that example. So what's the big idea? Again, hopefully you're with me. It's the great idea. What's a great idea, and how do we find that greatness? Remember to always think digital. That's what we do at the zoo. We always think digital, and we think digital first, and we think about the user, because that is part and parcel to thinking digital. And I want to leave you with a little sampling, a little taste of the zoo's work over the past year. So this is a highlights reel we just put together, just so you get a taste of the brands we're working with, some of the executions, some of its technology. We have a ZooX team that's building proactive technology so you guys can use it, right? Kind of here's a foundational piece of technology. We're working with content partners, and doing some very cool things with content partners. And this kind of sums it all up.
Get low when the whistle go. 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 Get low when the whistle go.
So you guys have been a wonderful audience. I hope this is a good hour well spent, and thank you so very much for having me in Mexico City.